The story transports us to the world of the zombie apocalypse. Two of the baseball team, Micky and Ben, are among the few survivors. They must travel across the forest and the regions in New England in search of food, and are constantly fighting against blood-sucking zombies. In actuality, the post-apocalyptic environment is surprisingly boring and most of the time, the people are bored to death. Ben adjusted to the new environment quicker than his buddy who learned to kill zombies and gain food using improvised methods. Micky, however, on the other hand, isn't averse to taking on arms and prefers to stay away from reality by listening to music on his headphones. On another mission, the group discovers an abandoned vehicle. A woman in a zombie state is seen climbing out of the driver's seat. However, Ben reacts quickly and shoots her head. The two guys are fortunate. The car started immediately and they'll be allowed to continue their trip on wheels. Micky suggests that they stop by his former girlfriend's home to search for some food there. While Ben looks around the house for zombies, Micky becomes nostalgic in his former love's room. He grabs a brand new disc out of her dresser to play on his player, and then he smells her clothes as well as perfume. Ben is, in contrast, is selective about what could help them along the road, and discovers two walkie-talkies with batteries among other things. The boys take pillows and blankets from the room of the girl to stay on the road. Micky is fed up of wandering around abandoned homes and sleeping in the streets, and he asks Ben to stay at the house for some time. Ben thinks that staying at one spot is not safe, and they need to be constantly moving to stay alive. The friend reminds him of when the crisis first began when they first started. They were locked at the home of Micky for 3 months, along with the rest of his family. Being in a small space was an absolute nightmare when the company was starving for food and Ben was forced to kill the dog so that his family wouldn't starve to death. At the end of the day, the zombies still plowed into the house, and only 2 of them survived through the chaos. Micky must agree with his buddy and continue their journey without making a final stop. Then, Micky finds walkie-talkies and put batteries in them. Ben decide to test the coverage of the radio, and then suddenly receive another signal. The two listen to conversations of the remaining guys and discuss their items to buy for the people in the camp. For the first time in a long while, Micky hears other people's voices. Through their conversation, he realizes that close to them are those who live their lives as they did the way they did before. People celebrate birthdays and go to movies, and have always something to eat and a place to sleep. Micky decides to come and ask to join the camp. A male voice on the radio abruptly responds to him to ensure that he does not block the airwaves. The voice says there is no room for people to join the camp. The voice asks the other person, who goes by the name of Annie, to cut off any contact with the boys. In desperate circumstances, Micky tries to negotiate with the strangers, however they block the conversation. Ben takes it all in stride and suggests that they ignore the conversation. However, his friend refuses to accept his refusal and continues to reach Annie. Ben is not happy about the actions of Micky. Ben tells his companion the romantic in him is overly enthralled by the stranger, and hope that she'll become an edgy beauty from the movies who can save him from the zombies. The group arrives at a motel that is abandoned. Micky checks the hotel and is quickly disappointed by that zombies were trapped inside one of the rooms. Ben must endure the same fate and shield them from being killed. He attempts to convince his friend to come along and learn how to eliminate zombies. However, he is unable to recognize the need. Soon Micky has the chance to take on the zombies one-on-one. Ben takes a dip while Micky is sleeping within the car. This is why Ben doesn't know that the corpse of the girl is approaching the car. The zombie is very close, and makes a few awkward attempts to enter the car, and the man awakes. Micky is terrified and is unsure of the next step or the best way to fight back. He's left alone with a zombie the first time, and he desperately tries shouting for Ben to help him. While watching what the zombie is doing for a short moment, the guy realizes that she is unable to comprehend how to get inside, and could rub against the car all day long. Then he realizes that although the person in front of him today is a dead corpse, the girl was once beautiful, and he is tempted to profit from the situation to satisfy his desires by looking at her. Climax of their romance is abruptly interrupted by Ben, who gets back in the vehicle to shoot the dead zombie's head. They continue to look for abandoned homes, at the point where Micky gets angry and informs his friend that they'll stay the night in the house. Ben accepts the offer and then seizes the player away from Micky. Ben explains the situation by saying that Micky is running out of batteries, and puts his life in danger as he could not be able to see the approaching of zombies due to the high volume of music. Ben attempts to explain to his companion that they must be a team and work together to help each other get through. Following his friend's words, Micky freaks out again and then leaves. The room is empty. Micky tries to contact Annie repeatedly. The girl eventually responds and tells him that she could be exiled for a conversation with him. She informs him that the survivors' camp is not as Micky imagines it is, and advises him to renounce the thought to join them. The man is prepared to let Ben on his own to join them. However, Annie continues to send him away in a rude way. Ben finally allows himself to unwind a bit. He switches on the player to full blast and drinks while he dances guns. In the late night, Ben hears strange sounds out of the house. He then takes zombies as hostages. Ben decides to teach his friend an extremely survival lesson. He places a bat in front of Micky, who is sleeping. He then Micky and then throws the zombie he has captured in the area, then shuts the door. The zombie is awake. Micky begs his friend to let him go, however Ben insists on dealing with the zombies using bats. After a while it was a scream of terror from Micky. Ben is careful to open the door and can see his buddy breathing heavily, covered in blood from zombies. Furious, Micky rushes at his buddy and assaults him, but Ben is happy that Micky was finally capable of standing up for him and in the dead at last. Micky informs his friend of the conversation he had with Anne, and she asks for him to put aside the camps. In despair of living a normal life, the man starts to weep. Ben soothes him and they begin their trip, enjoying the natural beauty and enjoyment in the world around them. The group of friends fish together as well as share their stories of life and play the ball using Apple. They come across an abandoned car on the highway. The smart Ben decides to take the fuel from the car, however, Micky is surprised to find that the car's hood remains hot. The two men realize that they're not the only ones and they call the driver of the vehicle. There is no response and therefore Ben decides to complete the task he began and is not able to be aware that a stranger has taken Micky hostage and puts a knife in his throat. The man demands access to keys for the man's car, else he'll kill Micky. Ben suggests that he will take in the person who is not his, but he has plans to head for Arizona and doesn't need anyone to accompany him on his journey. Then Ben attempts to convince his rational voice and asks why he wants to flee and if he's willing to murder an innocent person in exchange. The man claims that people had promised to let him go as well as give him food as well as his own truck in exchange for working for them throughout the winter. They lied, and now he must sprint to ensure that they do not take advantage of him. The man is furious and threatens cutting off Micky's eyes. To help him calm down, Ben says that the keys aren't located in the ignition but are instead inside the pockets in Ben's backpack. After recognizing his error, the man attempts to sprint across the field and is killed by Ben is killed and leaves Micky in shock. The two men are debating whether or not this was a good idea, and then they realize that guests from outside have appeared. A woman's voice coming from the car informs them that they've arrived at peace and want to take a discarded vehicle and fill it up with gasoline. A woman's voice in the car informs the guests that they've arrived in peace and are looking to get the car that is abandoned and fuel it up with gasoline. A beautiful girl emerges from the car and is joined by a big man holds an assault weapon in his hand. The girl orders her assistant to pull out a canister instead of a gun, and together they get closer to the men. The girl inquires of the men who were driving the car, and Ben claims about the fact that the car driver got attacked by a zombie and needed to be killed. The man continues his conversation, and then asks if the man has said something about himself or the location of the car. Ben realizes that this is the exact group that was following the man. After he realizes that they've been caught, Annie shoots Ben in the leg and then points his gun toward Micky. Annie threatens to shoot men if they return towards the campsite. Annie removes the keys from them and throws them into the field to allow them to go away while the men search for them. Micky fails to locate keys in the grassy bushes. It gets dark, and Ben suggests that he stay for the night in the car until he can begin the search again early in the day. At the end of the night, Micky notices an odd sound. The headlights are turned on and find a large group of zombies hungry for food is heading towards them. Due to the injuries, Ben cannot go far and the other friends are captives of the vehicle. The car, by the time it woke up, was completely surrounded by dead. Micky is stricken with fear as Ben attempts to come up with a solution of the circumstance. He kills dead people, but there are just too many to be able to get out. Ben gets frustrated and blames Micky for what's going on. If he'd left Annie and her friends alone and not gotten her to leave, they wouldn't be in a situation where they are. A few more hours pass. Friends are aware that their stocks of food and water are not going to last for long. Next day, the friends put up all the windows and blankets, hoping zombies will disappear in the event that they don't observe them. The zombies will never let their victims go. To avoid causing them to get out of control, the group decide to drink and enjoy themselves despite the seriousness of the circumstance. When they wake up, group members realize that they can't prolong the inevitable. They must try to gain access to the keys to escape from this. He requests that his friend be left alone and to escape in case he is unable to locate the keys. Micky promises to never abandon his companion. After smoking the last of his cigarettes before he slams through the doorway to be free. For Ben, it is the most painful moment of his life starts. He has sat for hours and seem interminable to him. He is about to lose hope when he hears a thud from above. In a state of excitement, he is able to open the window and let Micky in. Ben asks Micky if he managed to locate the keys, however, he notices something is going on with his. Micky exposes his bloody hand, and Ben realizes that he's been attacked by an undead. The only hope for survival is gone from Ben. Micky is crying and asks his friend what he should do, but he's already made the best choice. Ben shoots Micky directly into the head. Ben stays for the next several days in the throes of prostration in a bid to heal from the loss of his best friend. After a while, Ben talks on the radio with Annie. He tells Annie about the method they used to get out of Micky's parents' home. The group lured zombies onto an area of the house and allowed them inside while they themselves made it out on the opposite side. Ben says to Annie that he'll try to replicate this technique. The person turns on Micky's player and takes all the blankets off the windows of the car to draw at the eyes of zombies as they gather on the road in front of the vehicle, and he climbs out of the trunk. In the final part of the tale, we can see Ben struggling along the road. He was left on his own, with no food or weapons, and a horde of hungry zombies follow in his wake. He's determined to take revenge for the murder of his most beloved friend. Please like and share our video. It really motivates us to make more movie recaps. Subscribe and press the bell icon to get notified on new movies recap like this.